Now, I then want to turn your attention tonight to a key and damning part of this new interview making waves. Jack Smith accused Trump, remember, of only returning some documents, keyword, some, and then lying to the DOJ by claiming he gave all the documents back. Now, that is one of the core allegations of some of the crimes Trump stands accused of, that he is now set to go on trial for in August. Some versus all. So listen here as Trump admits he only gave back some.
We were talking. No, and
they said, "Can you give the documents back?"
And we were talking.
Okay. What you hear there quite briefly is a type of confession. It's quick, so I'm actually going to play it again for you right now. And we've put on the screen here because we're not just repeating anything that's said, we're reporting out the context and the facts, or as some might say, both sides of the case. Well, you're about to hear that again quickly with the very certification Trump's team submitted, which, remember, claimed all documents were returned. DOJ's evidence shows that Trump did not return all documents to the archives or to DOJ. That's what eventually led to the search. So here is that moment.
We
They
were
did ask
talking.
for it.
No, and
They said,
I gave
"Can you
them
give the
some,
documents back?"
And we were talking.
I gave them some. That is an unusual admission. Defendant Donald Trump backing up the prosecutor indicting him. Quite literally. Trump admitting he returned some of the requested material. Jack Smith's indictment makes the same accusation, that it's a crime because you returned some and then lied to the FBI and the DOJ claiming it was all. So this is that thing where people say, okay, Ari, what's it like reporting the news, or what are we going to hear? What are we going to learn? I didn't know we were going to be reporting on this tonight. I didn't know I would be coming out and showing you in detail with evidence that on this point, they're in agreement, public agreement. Donald Trump backing up Jack Smith. Make of that what you will. It's part of a key to the case because, as we've been showing you, the first archives requests were made in 2021. The DOJ search came over a year later after Trump returned some documents. Then DOJ demands the missing documents in the subpoena. And then, as we've shown you, Trump gave some more back. What you see up top is him giving back 38 documents and falsely saying those 38 were, quote, all the requested documents. But he hid the others. And after months of this, Trump's team lied about returning all the documents, basically daring DOJ to respond to what looked like a provocation. And DOJ responded. A full 2 months after that certification, we show you here, they searched and found this jackpot, 102 documents that Trump was hiding. The discovered documents proved, as far as Jack Smith was concerned, that Trump was lying about returning, quote, all the documents, and that led to these charges. By holding the documents, Donald Trump very clearly set off a chain of events, which then got him caught red-handed. And it was kind of a slow path, over a year from the initial clash with the archives, months from the DOJ request. Now, we made this timeline here in our reporting, gleaned from the evidence that we have. This is the kind of thing, not exactly this, but the kind of material, kind of argument that the jury would hear in this case, backed up now by Trump's own admission about giving up some. We gave up some. Also backed up by the lawyer's notes, if they're admitted into evidence, and the public record. So now in this new interview, Donald Trump does what Donald Trump does. He mixes some of those admissions with other lies. Think about the length of time I just showed you that led to that search. And then you have Trump falsely claiming there was no lengthy lead up or anything, that the search, in fact, was sudden.
No, what was in the boxes?
With NARA, giving them back. All of a sudden, we've got raided, which is a violation of my, Fourth Amendment rights.
There was nothing all of a sudden about it, and no court ever found a Fourth Amendment violation. So I've shown you some of these breakthrough pieces of information. You take it all together. What's happening here? What is he getting at in this interview? What is this defendant doing? Now, on one hand, it can be tempting to see this as another.
What is this defendant doing? Welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. What is he doing? I tend to now be more inclined to go along with David Youngblood, who mentioned before when Attorney Tarver was on that Trump's only defense is insanity. And as David says, otherwise, his admission last night clearly makes him eligible for a long prison sentence. We are going to talk about that. We're talking about Hunter Biden reaching a plea agreement with the district attorney for Delaware. What's interesting about that, two things come to mind real quick on that, is that the U.S. attorney there is a Trump appointee. And secondly, most legal experts, just about all legal experts, said the charges against Hunter Biden was something that never results in jail time. We'll talk about that as well. Also, the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force has issued a new recommendation stating that adults aged 19 to 64 in the United States should undergo screening for anxiety disorders. This marks the first time, or the first time, that a final recommendation of a task force that was specifically focusing on anxiety disorder screening in adults, that included pregnant and postpartum individuals. Also, the Grammy Awards have issued changes to how artificial intelligence will affect music. We'll tell you what the Grammy Awards has decided. But first, as you guys can see, we got the mod squad on. We only missing Julie. We got Pete and Link. How y'all doing, Austin Barrington? Barrington looks like he just ate a meal and he's kicking back.
Just ate a meal.
Yeah,
I just woke up. I just woke up.
That's just bad energy he's bringing this morning, Austin.
Good morning, brothers. How are you?
Morning.
Barrington, good to see you, my brother.
Good to see you too. Stacy, why are you picking on me?
Well, number one, you look like you're too comfortable. We don't like it when you're comfortable.
Mimi said she gonna get you.
Why Mimi got to get involved? Oh gosh.
He's asking why you had to get involved.
Gosh.
No, he's bringing. Yeah,
Tell me.
We're a team, bro.
Well, speaking of teams, this morning, we know that. Tell you on live broadcast. Tell the red light is on.
We're on the live broadcast.
The red light is on. Listen, the son of President Joe Biden has reached a plea agreement with the U.S. attorney for Delaware. According to court documents, Biden will plead guilty to 2 federal misdemeanor counts of failing to pay his taxes. Additionally, he faces a separate gun possession charge, which the court will likely dismiss if he meets certain conditions laid out by the prosecutors. The U.S. Attorney's Office consented to recommend probation for Biden regarding his tax violations. Legal experts have said the charges were anyway unlikely to result in jail time for the president's son. Austin, I know that you have some thoughts on this case, and we think about some Democrats saying, I think Adam Schiff, it was Ranking, who said, hey, okay, this is over with, but what about the other guy's children?
Thank you. And that, hopefully, this whole issue is unfortunate for the entire Biden family, and for Hunter in particular, who's admitted to having drug issues, alcohol issues, a whole host of personal issues. But it appears he's gotten them behind him. This is what this is the outcome that I expected. Let's keep in mind that the individual, this investigation started not under the Biden administration, but under the Trump administration. And, I forget the term, but the person who was leading this investigation is a Trump appointee. Yeah. So he has paid back what was due in taxes, unlike his father, unlike President Trump. And he will have a record, for carrying a handgun when he was not supposed to. So he will spend the rest of his life with a convicted felon on his record. But I'm glad that an agreement has been reached, and he can hopefully put this behind him personally. But the Republicans are not going to. And it's time that the Democrats, in my humble opinion, start really hitting back when the Republicans go after. You remember there was a time when the children of candidates, the children of presidents, were off limits.
Yes.
Both sides. You just had that basic line of respect, no matter what was going on. I don't recall hearing Republicans in the 1970s really going after Billy Carter, who was always
Oh,
making
right.
some
Yeah.
silly statements. I'm old enough to remember that period.
Yes, he stayed in trouble.
They kind of laughed about it, but I don't recall it being an issue.
Yeah.
But now we need to start hitting back. If you want to accuse Hunter Biden of being a criminal, what about the Trump children?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great analogy. I almost forgot about Billy Carter. He had some alcohol, substance problems as well. Power 96 Barrington says a 5-year investigation for 2 misdemeanors. Now that is a waste of taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm hopeful it's over. But I was chuckling yesterday because when it was announced, the Republicans started baying at the moon and complaining and saying it wasn't enough and it was rigged. I mean, I'm so sick and tired of these grievous filled empty barrels.
Yep.
All they do is make noise. I mean, Kevin McCarthy was on some program minutes after the announcement saying we're not done, we're still going after him. It's like, bruh, you're getting paid to go do some goddamn work. Go do some work and help the country and stop kissing Trump's butt. Because all he's doing is trying to please Trump, and it doesn't make a difference because Trump's going to throw him under the bus when he needs to anyway.
In Barrington and Stacey, how is it rigged? Keep in mind that when Merrick Garland became the Attorney General, he had the option of replacing, the lead on this, and in order to be objective, he kept him on.
Yeah.
But Austin, Democrats keep on bending over backwards to appear to be, not rigging, not to be fair. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Because no matter what they do, they get criticized for it. And like you said earlier, Austin, I don't know when Democrats are going to decide to put on the gloves. They need to be rolling with an iron fist. Iron fist and a velvet glove. And every time that these idiots say something, punch them in their face. Because that's the only thing they understand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the Trump trial. It's a move that reflects a determination to avoid delay or sluggishness. The federal judge in the case, Eileen M. Cannon, who is a Trump appointee, who's had made rulings in the past, controversial rulings that were overturned that were favorable to Trump. She has set a expedited trial date in the federal documents case. We saw just a minute ago Trump's interview from yesterday, in which he continues apparently incriminating himself. They've set the date for August the 14th. You talk about on the fast track. Now, will that happen, Austin? Will it happen on August 14th?
No. I forgot what the exact language was, but I think it was something along the lines of not to start, before August 14th. I mean, think about it. It's going to take a couple of weeks, a couple of months for, the former president's lawyers to get security clearance. I mean, keep in mind, I've not read up recently on who these lawyers are, but I do know that he is still looking for, for additional members of his legal defense team. Each of these individuals has to be cleared by the Justice Department to have access to these highly classified documents. So who knows what may come up in their background searches that may delay the process. So I don't expect it to start. I'd be pleasantly surprised. I wish it would. I was frustrated to read the detailed report in the Washington Post the other day about the delay by Merrick Garland of a year of moving forward. with this, with the January 6th investigation. We lost a year because, again, to your point, Barrington, Democrats being weak and timid and fearful. And were it not for Chairman Thompson and the January 6th committee and Liz Cheney, he still wouldn't have moved on this.
Well, it's interesting too because now you're saying a year, so 2024 at the earliest for anything on the January 6th case. That's 3 years. That would be more than 3 years removed, and we all know that the longer it takes, the more beneficial it is for the defendant in cases like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, Stacey, because as long as you have Orange Jesus running around helping Jack Smith, and it's interesting. I was up early this morning, and I saw some conversation on one of these stations where they were saying that the effects of all of these trials and charges against Trump, that the numbers are starting to move against him. I think they said almost 60% of the people that were polled said that he shouldn't run.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it's the majority of moderates and independents, the soccer moms and all those types. They're like, he needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's going anywhere. And
Nope.
he still has the mob supporting him. But it looks like the more that this happens, the less likely he is that he's gonna prevail.
And no matter how often he admits publicly, privately, that he is guilty, he further indicts himself, Stacey, Barrington, they still support him.
Yeah.
I looked at that interview with the Brett Baer on Fox.
Yeah.
I've seen clips. I'm trying to find the actual interview that I do want to see. But as a kid, whenever I would do something stupid or annoying, and my dad was at his absolute end of frustration with me, he would look at my mom and say, "Patricia, what have we brought into this world?" Pointing. And I can only imagine what Trump's parents are thinking. They must be knocking their heads against their respective coffins, saying, "What have we done?"
But I don't know. I don't know if that's true, though, Stace.
Huh?
I don't know if that's true, Austin, because they said that he is a product of his family, of his parents. They said both of they said he's a reflection of particularly his father.
Absolutely, but even they weren't colossal, repeated embarrassment like this.
We don't know that because it was hidden.
Well, and wouldn't that be a difference though? The fact that they did a good job of hiding it. He just outward. He says this stuff publicly that I'm sure they probably said privately, right?
Yeah.
Well, his father was smart enough never to run for president. Trump was dumb enough to let his racism get in the way of whatever thinking he has. And that's in large part why, think about it. Had Trump not run for president, nobody would have cared about his taxes because he was doing that, as you said, Barrington, all along. He's been a crook his entire life. But when he ran for president, it just put him in a different spotlight that he was not prepared for. But with, unfortunately, he is benefiting from, unlike any other politician.
well, Austin, as long as they want to keep on giving him their money, they can go ahead and give him, because they seem to get some satisfaction from doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what it is. I don't know why, but the more, at every step of this process, he has 500,000 emails and campaign flyers and all this stuff that he's putting out begging for money, and he's getting it.
Well, in the first 72 or 96 hours after he was in Miami, I guess that's almost 2 weeks ago now, I read he raised about $6 million.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, David Youngblood says he has no doubt that one or more of the lawyers will not survive the background check, and he also has no doubt that justice will catch up with Donald Trump. Really interesting takes there. Timothy Williams says he could have still been on rap music.
He can do what?
He could have still been on rap music. Oh gosh, I tell you what. It's going to be interesting. So he has made a lot of incriminating statements. He's made and he doesn't appear to even believe that these are incriminating statements. You got to believe that a lawyer, right, is telling him, hey, you can't say that.
If not registering with him. That's how badly damaged his brain is.
But Austin,
Just like the White House aides, over repeated, a number of issues during the White House, he just, a one man band. He marches to his own drum. He doesn't care what anybody else thinks. Can you imagine being his lawyer? Chris Christie said this morning that after that interview on Fox, his lawyers were probably jumping out the nearest windows.
but Austin, I'm not making any excuses for him. He's not mentally ill. He's just an ass.
No, I don't.
He's just an arrogant, entitled ass. That's all.
I don't think he's mentally ill. I didn't even mean to imply that. You're absolutely right. I just think he's crazy.
But as David Youngblood says, and he said this before when we had Attorney Tarver on, I wasn't convinced, but now I'm thinking his only way out seems to be, based on everything we see and hear, his only way out, it seems to be some sort of insanity defense. Austin,
I don't. I think he is too proud and too crazy a person to admit to anything anywhere close to insanity. Even if it, I think that he would, before doing that, I think that he would just find all sorts of legal, recourse to push it out and see what happens next November.
yeah,
If he got the nomination and he lost, maybe, but even then, I just can't see him ever copying a plea that includes an admission of insanity.
Yeah, it seems like it's an extremely uphill battle, and in each of these cases, the New York case,
It's uphill because of him.
yeah,
Nobody else but because of him.
Yeah.
Every time he opens his mouth and talks in a rally, every time he opens his mouth on Fox or any of these, well, he only appears on Fox that I can see, and maybe News Nation. He further incriminates himself. Jack Smith and his team are looking. Our sister in Atlanta is looking.
mm-hmm.
It's looking and listening to every
Right.
interview he did and finding additional crumbs to put the pieces together to his the respective criminalities that they are examining.
Yeah, wow, it's so true. And that would apply to anyone. If you are under indictment, everything you say and do is going to be highly scrutinized by the prosecution team.
That's right.
Everything. It could be the most innocuous thing. They're going to be looking at it.
Who you're meeting with, who you're talking to, anything you write, certainly anything you say publicly, keep your mouth shut. And he won't do it. And he's only hurting himself. But he's not only hurting himself, he is also hurting the country, because this nonsense just continues and continues and continues.
Yeah, David Youngblood says, I do not believe he will win the nomination. David says, I want him to win it, but the avalanche of cases and convictions will finally dissuade his followers. Do you believe, Barrington, that he's already saying no?
He gonna win.
Well, here. So you don't think that this even convictions will dissuade his followers?
Nope.
Well, here's the thing. It's Orange Jesus and the Seven Dwarfs.
Who's the Seven Dwarfs?
Most of the people that are running against him in the Republican primary, DeSantis is 20-something%, and everybody else is 1% and 2% and 3%. So there's no one there. I guess DeSantis may get it by default, but why vote for DeSantis when you can get the real thing?
Exactly. That's what I always. Yep.
So
if he can get to March. If he can get to March and wrap up the the nomination, I'm not saying that certainly I don't want him to win, but if he can get to March and none of these investigations, none of these additional indictments, nothing else that comes out, sways, these voters, and I don't think they can be swayed. I don't think his base can be swayed no matter what.
Mhm.
Well, he's doing a masterful job, even given the people that he's dealing with. Painting himself as this martyr, as the persecuted one, and they seem to be responding to that constant refrain. So I think he's going to win the nomination.
But do
But
you
the
see
problem
that
that they
poll?
have is that they're so far right, and they got to go so far right during the primaries, that by the time that they get to the national election, they're toast.
Yeah, but
Because
look at that poll, Barrington. 53.5%. He's as of June 17th.
yeah,
That's 5 days ago.
yeah.
Or 4.
But the poll they had was like it came out either yesterday or this morning. So that they said he's lost 10%.
In that 4 or 5 day period?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
But he
That's
still
what they
has
said.
a lead, right? Barrington.
I didn't hear you.
He still has a sizable commanding lead despite that 10-point loss.
Yeah. Yeah, because DeSantis is 22% or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, David Youngblood believes he predicts that Tim Scott will be the nominee.
Oh God, no.
No.
You said that with such repulse.
Listen, if you like, I had the misfortune of bumping into Tim Scott's, I don't know, announcement or something. And I was like, he never dealt with any issues. He was like the sunshine boy. Everything is good. America's great. We can make America great again. And I mean, if you're looking for substance, there's none there.
Wow.
What may happen with whoever gets the let's say I mean one of these folks who gets the Republican nomination, may very well make Tim Scott his running mate. Although Trump is from Florida, DeSantis is from Florida, so I don't know that adding Tim Scott would add anything, certainly geographically, to the ticket. But
His color, Austin.
yeah.
So
Because
we're looking at
these people are all about show.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So
Well,
they
we're
keep-
looking at this. Look at this poll from yesterday. So Barrington, while he has lost some percentages, he's still far and way ahead of DeSantis. The Harris poll has him at 77% over Tim Scott to 23%. Head to head, and 57% to 33% with DeSantis. As Harvard University Center for American Political Studies. So it's really interesting how he is still far and away ahead of anybody else.
But that's just illustrative of the moral rot in what used to be the Republican Party. It doesn't matter what he did. I mean, sexual molestation of E. Jean Carroll, theft of millions of dollars in these tax schemes and stuff, theft of classified materials, and the whole nine yards, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
So yeah, his base, his loyal base, will look you in the eye and say that he did not steal any classified documents.
Yeah,
He just didn't. It's a witch hunt. Yet Trump will go on national TV and say, "Yeah, I had the documents mixed up in golf shirts and golf pants, and I didn't have time to go through them."
So look,
will still say that he did not take national security documents or return them when asked, even when Trump contradicts his own base.
So on the other side of the coin, we just watched a poll about President Biden's popularity or lack thereof. I mean, that was a really telling poll as well. That one right there. How popular is Joe Biden? Well, it's a plus 12.9 disapprove. So, I mean, we look at a 41.2% approval rate, a disapproval rate of 54.2%. And as you go down, it breaks it down further. But that could potentially be a big problem. And, you have, of course, the Marianne Williams's obligatory campaign, Democratic campaign, and then, of course, more of a threat is Robert F. Kennedy. And whether you believe Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will be a real contender, one thing is for certain: he will take some Democratic votes.
And,
But Stace, I think the problem that the Biden administration have is messaging. Because with all that he's done, and he has receipts for everything he's done,
yep.
the amount of jobs,
Mm-hmm.
the investment in infrastructure, what he did during the COVID pandemic, but they don't, as a unit, Democrats aren't talking about that. And listen, the easiest way for the Democratic Party to win in 2024 is to do what they did in the midterms, because people are so pissed about what the Supreme Court did that if they
They're
hammer
not done yet.
abortion, they're gonna win. But even they are afraid to do that. So you have Republicans who are no longer interested in governing, who are only interested in holding on to power, and Democrats who are afraid to lead.
Yep.
So American people don't have a choice, really.
Well, Timothy is asking why third party only pulled Democratic votes. There, Kennedy and Williamson are running as Democrats.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm trying to think what year this was. Was it 88 or 92 when George H.W. lost to Bill Clinton, right?
88.
In 88?
Yeah.
No, Bill Clinton came in 92.
92.
So he ran
92? Okay.
against, George H.W., right? Who was running for a second
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
running for
yeah.
second term.
And you remember Ross? Didn't Ross Perot?
Ross Perot
Yes.
ran in 92.
He ran as an independent, but
Yeah.
he
Yes.
pulled votes from what do you call it? He pulled votes from the president.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting. These, third. She mentioned third party candidates, but when you do have a third party candidate, it's interesting because they are understanding that they're not going to win, but it's more about their agenda, getting the agenda across.
And again, I've said, and let's not forget, Cornel West is
And Cornel West is running
running for president. So
as
I
a Democrat,
that,
right? Is it as a Democrat?
no,
Is he running as a Democrat or independent?
Freedom Party.
Right.
He's
It's
a Freedom
different
Party. I
party.
don't think that's a Democrat.
No.
It's as an independent.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's So that's interesting as well. How much of an impact?
Poll numbers by the president. These folks, running and only hurting him, and not the other side. Increases the likelihood that a Republican will win, and more specifically, Trump.
But the truth of the matter is, gentlemen, that you should be having people in who are running, who are going to do more than just be mouthpieces for both of these parties. We have a two-party duopoly. They really aren't dealing. I mean, I did a story. I did the story when Cornel West announced that he was running, and most of the issues that he's talking about are issues that are very germane to what's going on with regular folks in this country.
Mm-hmm.
The $769 billion that they passed for 2 years for the Defense Department, all of the things that they're doing. I mean, he has issue with the amount of money that they're spending in Ukraine when people are starving on the street, when the fentanyl and opioid epidemic is eating through American people. You don't hear them talking that much about that. Republicans aren't talking about it. Democrats talk about it sparingly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I spoke to a friend of mine who works on Capitol Hill, and she said she was talking to a friend of hers in San Francisco who was talking about the homeless and the fact that much of the homelessness on the West Coast is undergirded by people who are addicted to opioids and that type of stuff. And she said she told them, hey, when Ronald Reagan and the CIA dropped all that all that cocaine they got in the Iran-Contra deal on South Central LA and other black communities, you all ain't do nothing. And now that white people, because I mean, they said they've lost a generation of primarily white men from the ages of like 24 or 34 to 64 through the opioid epidemic, and significantly large numbers of children, young people are getting addicted, and they say all the right things, but they ain't doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the type of money that they throw, I mean, the trillions of dollars that America's losing because of all of these tax cuts should be and could be used to finance treatment and care for those who are addicted, for people who are homeless, for people who are mentally ill. But the goddamn Republicans don't care about that. And the people who support them don't care about it either, because they're not holding them accountable.
Well, speaking of mental health, the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force has issued a new recommendation stating that adults ages 19 to 64 in the United States should undergo screening for anxiety disorders. They found insufficient evidence to support screening for anxiety in older adults, but the recommendation does align with the task force's previous guidance from 2016, which advised screening all adults for major depressive disorder, including pregnant or postpartum individuals and older adults. Obviously, since the pandemic, things have gotten significantly worse when it comes to anxiety, depression. According to the CDC, approximately 1 in 6 adults now will experience depression. So, Austin Barrington, this is a real issue that folks have mostly dealt with in silence,
especially in our community.
But I'm not sure if that's true though, because from what I'm seeing, maybe for the first time, you have more and more people in our community and elsewhere talking about mental health issues, the struggles that they've had, and suggesting solutions and stuff.
Well, to that point, though, Barrington, the CDC has found that only 11% of U.S. adults with an anxiety disorder sought treatment within the first year or onset.
Mm-hmm.
So it appears that while we're talking about it more, we're still not acting on it.
Taking steps to act on it. Yep.
But my understanding too is that when people seek treatment, there's no treatment to be had.
Well, also to go along with that, so the median, get this, this is what might be a little disturbing. The median time to treatment initiation, you know what that was?
About a year.
23 years. 23 years.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. That was the average for treatment?
Yes.
Wow.
To initiate the treatment.
Yeah.
And Timothy Williams says part of that is because of no medical coverage. And I believe that might very well be a driving factor.
Yeah. Because imagine this, gentleman. Most of the times that people don't have health care that's connected to their job, they ain't got no health
They
care.
don't have health care. Right. Right.
America is the only so-called industrialized country in the world that doesn't have universal health care. And that is something that people should be burning down some buildings and marching about, and they're not.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you have healthcare coverage with your job when it comes to mental issues and dealing with anxiety and depression. You have a set number of visits each year,
Mm.
maybe 6. I mean, who the hell's going to be cured with 6 visits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have so then you do your 6 visits, and
And you're out on your own.
I mean, you feel
Done.
you're making progress. I guess each visit is 45 minutes or an hour. You feel you're making progress, and then you're left on your own for the next 10 months out of the year. to
Well,
figure it
David Youngblood says, as the son of slaves, we feel, as the sons of slaves, we feel guilty admitting to mental health challenges when our ancestors just endured. Power 96 says, please do not call the police if your loved one or family member is having mental
Yep.
issues.
Yeah.
And that's another part, right?
Hmm.
Wow.
It's an indictment on this country.
Yep.
It's an absolute indictment on this country. And just I don't know if it's because it's the circles that I'm moving in, but more and more people are just so disgusted with how little we get. I mean, they're always in our pocket taking money for XYZ, and the services that we need, we're not getting.
And keep in mind our elected officials, the 535 members of Congress, the president, get top health care.
Of course, even when they're out of office, Austin.
Exactly, absolutely.
Even when they're out of office.
Yeah.
Top health care. I mean, I remember, when I used to work on the Hill, and it's still there. Each building, Rayburn, Longworth on the House side, Cannon have physician offices. You can go right there, and they will refer you. I mean, you can get whatever prescriptions you need filled. I mean, just full service.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Whereas the everyday person has to jump through hoops for any of that.
Exactly.
That is amazing.
I told you that the $93 million that Americans spend every year to pay members of Congress and leadership, it is not a good return on our investment.
93 million.
I never heard that number. That's the total with salaries and everything. That's, wow.
Calculation, bruh.
Wow.
I'm not a mathematician, but it's $93 million for the 535 plus the speaker and the Senate majority leader make $224,000 a year. Yeah. Everybody else makes $174,000.
I never thought of it that way. Wow. Yep.
And they had some surveys that are repeated every couple of years, that of all the issues that the public is demanding for Congress to deal with, only 1 or 2% are dealt with. Everything else is dealt with based on what the donor class is demanding from Congress. So if that is the case, we need to just dismantle that shit then. It doesn't serve any purpose.
Vintage Barrington, we've heard burn it down and now dismantle.
Hey, Stacey, if it takes 23 years to initiate mental health care, why is it there?
Yeah.
Why is it there?
It is that was startling. I had to read that like several times.
Yeah,
because it's just hard to digest. 23 years is the median time to initiate mental health care. That is something else. Whew. Well, on a lighter note, on a much lighter note, the Grammy Awards have issued changes to address how artificial intelligence affects music. Among the revisions is a rule stating that only human creators are eligible to win the music industry's highest honors. According to the Grammys, the Recording Academy, under the newly released artificial intelligence protocols, A work lacking human authorship will be deemed ineligible for any category. AI-inspired works will be accepted only if a human creator has made a significant contribution to the music or lyrics, according to the decisions made at the Academy Board of Trustees meeting. The requirements specify that the human authorship component must be significant. Paul McCartney, it's so funny because he just announced that they were using artificial intelligence. They were using an old demo of John Lennon's voice and to reunite the Beatles. And of course, we've seen in recent months artists like the late Notorious Big and even R. Kelly, who's in jail, who's in prison.
Still making music.
Yeah, coming out with music. Previously, Michael Jackson's family had complained that certain songs was just not quite him. Lending to that AI touch again. This is interesting because we're seeing AI take over everything. And now the Recording Academy is saying, hold up, we're not going to reward you if you are, if it's just AI.
But Stacey, how would they know?
Well, that's a good question.
How would they know? Because they can't monitor everybody.
Everybody, yep.
Yeah.
And I imagine that you could use bits and pieces of AI and nobody would know. If you're smart, you wouldn't try to do the whole thing AI.
But that's where they make a distinction, though. They say if a human creator has a significant part of that, then they still would be eligible for an award.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some, that's coming out where it's mostly, if not all, AI.
Yeah.
And Power 96 says, sorry, I don't watch the Grammys or any of those award shows. I'm right there with you, Power 96. Right there with you. And speaking of R. Kelly, so audio leaked of R. Kelly, and this was not AI, and this is not a song, but he was complaining about the health care that he was receiving in prison. Did you guys hear that?
What a pity.
Well, he says that he apparently had a blood clot, and he says that the way they treated him is like they could have killed him, and he was literally crying on the audio about the health situation. He says, quote, "I'm not supposed to die like this."
And you were not supposed to treat those girls like that.
Yeah.
And so I kind of, that was going to be the reaction, right?
Yeah.
But
had you not done so, then you would have been a free man, able to treat whatever, address whatever health issues you have. I mean, I have no sympathy.
But to the larger issue, though, again, we have a system, a criminal so-called justice system that is inhumane on so many levels.
Yeah.
I was reading something a few days ago where they were saying that if you don't have family members giving you money, putting money on your commissary bill, you don't eat, you get no medical care of any consequence, and that type of stuff. But yet they're spending $80 billion a year to maintain this prison system.
Yeah. So while it's extremely difficult to feel sorry for R. Kelly, it's bigger than R. Kelly, right?
It's much bigger. The fact that if you are a woman who is imprisoned and you're pregnant, that they shackle you to the bed while you're pregnant, while you're having a child. I mean, the thing that really pisses me off is that they're always running around talking about America being exceptional, America being different, and they're always running after people and trying to blame them for not living up to America's standards, but yet they're doing the same thing, and worse.
Wow. And something else I wanted to throw out there to you guys, and I'll let because I know Barrington will he's going to rip this one to shreds, but I'll start with you, Austin. Candace Owens, she called Juneteenth ghetto and lame.
Yeah.
Why does it even matter though?
That's because she prefers
She's of no consequence.
slave.
She's of no consequence.
It is, but here, yeah, I agree there too. But isn't that clearly, if anybody ever doubted, it's clearly an attempt to get attention, right?
Yeah, that's all it is.
Absolutely.
Her husband ain't giving her no attention, so she's doing all this stuff just to get out there.
Gosh, I mean, so much self-hate.
I mean, why do this other than to get attention? You mean nobody's been? I mean, I haven't even heard anything about Candace Owens in a while.
Yeah,
And
yes.
now, now this.
No. She's no, Austin. She's always in the news
Okay.
because she's
we
always
just
doing
ignore
stuff
her
to
for the most
poke
part.
black people in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we ignore her for the most part, but she says Juneteenth is a made up holiday, and I got a news flash. Every holiday is made up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean,
But if Donald Trump did Juneteenth, I guarantee you she wouldn't be saying it was ghetto and lame.
Nope.
She's a clown. She's a mascot.
Somebody wrote on her Twitter timeline, "You are one of the meanest white girls I know."
But she would. That's not an insult. She would love that
Mm-hmm.
because she's trying so hard to be white.
Who was it that she's dating? Who's the guy?
No, she's married to the dude that bought Parler.
That's right.
Goodness grief.
Yeah. But like all the rest of them, the time will come when the people who they spend all their time trying to emulate will kick them to the curb, and then they'll be slinking back, coming to Stacey, asking him if he can interview them and talk about what white people did to them.
Under no circumstances, will I have a sit down with Candace Owens.
Have you ever had a conversation with Omarosa?
Well, briefly. We were at an NMPA thing, and she stormed out. She threw a fit and stormed out because Hazel Edney was grilling her on a promise that she couldn't keep, and that was surrounded. Her promise was that she was going to allow Dr. Chavis to have a sit down with Donald Trump. He was going to be the first to sit down with Donald Trump when he takes office. Of course, she did not live up to that promise, and Hazel was asking her about it and pressing her about it, and she couldn't find any way out except to storm out of the hotel. It was a luncheon or something, and she threw a fit and stormed out. I think the thing I always when I think of Omarosa, I'll always think of Robin Roberts when she did the whole "Bye Felicia" thing, and it had upset Omarosa so bad. But she's another one. She's tried to come back to the barbecue, to the cookout. Listen, the door is still shut. I don't see. She's to me, and I know that we even have folks within the organization that disagrees, but there's nothing redeeming about her.
No, she tried to do what Trump has done, have this reclamation tour, trying to restore her career, her image and her career and stuff, but it's too late, man.
Listen, even before she got into that type of spotlight, her image was horrible. That whole Prentice thing. God, I mean, she's hard to stomach. She's hard on the eyes. She's hard to stomach. I mean, she is.
He said hard on the eye.
He did.
Oh, you rough.
She's horrible. And so she was married to, or getting ready to get married to, what's his name before he passed away?
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That is that might have been the best thing that would have happened in her life had he lived. Maybe
didn't she marry a preacher?
She did. She did at the White House.
Really?
Yes. And I
Yeah.
and so the story was that she threw without permission threw this wedding at the White House.
Really?
And this, allegedly that's part of why she was dismissed by the Trump folks.
How can you plan a wedding at the White House and do it unofficially?
Yeah, I don't listen. I don't know. Listen, Omarosa will find a way. She will find a way.
Wow.
Oh gosh, but you know what? More power to her. Whatever. She's another one that if you never mentioned her name again, it wouldn't be like whatever happened to.
Yeah.
She, and how about the folks on the Titanic?
No, not the Titanic, the submersible.
Yes.
It's interesting because they're expending all these resources trying to look for 5 people because one of them is a billionaire and one other dude is a prominent individual. And there's a Facebook friend of mine. Sorry, a Facebook friend of mine who was on a rampage yesterday saying that when the 5, and I'm thinking it was like maybe 300 or 500 refugees, Syrian refugees that were on that boat that was overloaded, and governments knew that they were there. The governments didn't do anything, and they now you have 5 people on this submersible, and they've got Coast Guard, Navy from Canada and United States and France looking for these people, and it's like, why? Just because they got money?
I mean, white folk always doing something foolish. It's like you go to the movie. You're watching a horror movie, and remember what's that movie? Remember that movie, The Poltergeist? Not The Poltergeist, Poltergeist. And let me tell you, I look at my TV every day, and only voices I expect to hear are people talking on TV. If I hear a voice and it's not coming from what I'm watching, I'm getting the hell out.
Oh, so if you hear a voice that says Austin,
I'm out.
You remember Eddie Murphy did a bit about the poltergeist?
Yes.
He said the little girl was in the TV. He said she couldn't have been no more than 3 or 4 years old. So you couldn't have been that attached to her.
Yeah.
Look, I am fascinated. I love reading about the Titanic and all of that, but from my couch. I like to watch it on National Geographic. I like to see we call those unmanned capsules or satellites, whatever. Go into the rooms and you see the chandeliers and the china. I mean, to me, that's fascinating. The bow of the boat, but to get on a capsule and to go 13,000 feet
So
below
they could
sea
see
level. I was reading the New York Times yesterday. They said the pressure where the Titanic sits, again, 13,000 feet below sea level, is so great. It is the equivalent of the Empire State Building made of only lead pressing down on you.
Goodness grief.
That's the kind of pressure that you would feel at that bottom.
But I think they said it was like 6,000 PSI, whatever PSI is. But the pressure is enormous. It's crazy.
Well, and they paid $250,000.
Huh?
They paid $250,000 each.
Per person.
Yeah. But the interesting thing for me is that the person that they said was operating a submersible is a CEO for the company.
Yep.
Gosh.
I read that.
Oh gosh.
So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Folks get money and they have no idea what to do with it.
Yeah. And we go back to the same thing. People starving.
Yeah.
People in need. And they have all these vanity projects that they're paying for. So, yeah.
God.
One family, it was a father and son. One family had $500,000 to just blow.
Yeah.
Just throw away. And
but the guy's a billionaire, Austin. Some Pakistani.
Okay, so if you're a billionaire, then use some, use common sense. If this is what you want to do, make certain that spend an extra $500,000 if you're a billionaire, and have rescue vessels, whatever the hell you need to have right at the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the event something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Because, the average submarine or the average boat that goes down like that, submarine, they said, can only do 7,000 feet. So they have machines or whatever that can go lower, but that's 1,000 miles away.
Now, because
Yesterday.
of their indulgence and their desires, you putting other people at risk because the rescuers got to go down there and try and get you.
Yeah.
It's just it's awful. To see this Titanic, try and get a view. That's like Austin said. Read the book, watch the movie, you get a view of the Titanic. That's an oh gosh. Listen, next week we'll be in Nashville, Tennessee. The NMPA's National Convention kicks off next Wednesday. The two Justins are going to Justin Pearson and Justin Jones will receive the Lifetime Legacy Award. Keith Ellison, the Attorney General in Minnesota, will also be a keynote speaker. And Keith Washington is going to perform at the NMPA's annual convention. 196 years of the Black press amplifying the progress, excellence, and voices of Black America is the theme of the week-long event. And Rosetta Perry, we're going to see her, the publisher of the Tennessee Tribune. She is the host publisher this year. So looking forward to it. Should be interesting. There'll be a civil rights tour included in this, some museum events. So if you can join us, hey, nmpa-events.com. Come check us out in Nashville. Hey, thanks, guys. As always, it's good to see both of you, and it's good to see all you watching Let It Be Known. We'll see you again tomorrow.